following announcement has been paid for by the WZWA network.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the WZWA Network, and welcome to our retro review show here of WWE Global Warning from 2002. I'm California. This is Juicy Boy. What's going on, bruh?
Not a lot, and we are here with your Friday flashback. Obviously, a couple of weeks from now, WWE is coming to the land down under, to our home country, to our home city, to Perth, Australia, with the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. So we thought that as part of our build-up towards our Elimination Chamber coverage, we're gonna be looking at some Australian centric professional wrestling. And we thought that we would start that off by reviewing the pay-per-view that took place, I believe, in 2002. California will pull up the details.
Yeah.
The Global Warning pay-per-view from Melbourne, Australia.
Mad shit, bro.
Yeah, and we took a look at it. And we're going to review it here.
We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about what we thought. We're going to give our thoughts.
Bit of a chin wag.
This was from August 10th, 2002, Colonial Stadium. I'm pretty sure it's Etihad Stadium now. Melbourne, Victoria, Australia. In front of 56,734 people. This was the first big stadium show or big show that WWE had done since 1986.
Wow. So none of the people from the Attitude Era, that means, really toured Australia.
No, because and I guess for WWE, it had been a while. So, and actually, you know what? I thought this was a pay-per-view as well. Apparently, they did this and they released it on DVD. They didn't actually go live on pay-per-view. I was surprised by that.
Yeah. Well, they presented it. It's basically presented like a pay-per-view. In format, style, length.
Yeah.
And
if anyone out there,
it's kind of analogous to an In Your House, I guess. It was a bit of a shortened pay-per-view.
Yes, there's something I can talk about as it pertains to that. But if anyone out there, if you were at the show, please in the comments give us some thoughts and memories.
What was it like live? What was it like?
Yeah, because I didn't get to go. Obviously, there's no way like I was going to be able to afford at 14 years old to fly over to Melbourne, and I would have had to go with my mom or something. It was never going to happen. But so I was pretty excited for the DVD though. Okay. Were you a fan of wrestling at this stage, Juicy Boy, or that came a bit after, didn't it?
I'd say that this was about like 10 or 11 months before I started watching wrestling.
Right.
I was aware of its existence early into my fandom, but I wasn't a fan at the time that it took place.
Really? Well, what did you think about hearing Michael Cole and Taz on the call for this one, mate?
I liked it. I think that it was better than having Jerry Lawler and Jim Ross on commentary, because Taz and Cole, I feel, always had that chemistry where it was like two buds hanging out. And like Cole is it's kind of like Nelson Muntz and Martin Prince from The Simpsons, if anyone's a fan of that show. It's like Taz is the ex-wrestler. He's a bit of a fucking bully. He's kind of a meathead. He mispronounces words. Cole is like nerdy. He's got all the stats, and he talks about the cleanliness of the taxi cabs and stuff during the fucking title match, you know? So I think that chemistry lent itself well to the fact that they were in Australia.
Yeah.
I think that at the time, it definitely was like a breath of fresh air to just have a big show like that and have Cole and Taz call the whole thing themselves, especially since what we now know from listening to Paul Heyman over the years of how low the SmackDown team was kind of seen on the pecking order within the company. So it's nice that they got this opportunity as opposed to the Raw side. Well, of
Yeah.
course, Triple H, of course, had to be there. Like they made an exception for Triple H.
Oh, there were a bunch of people from Raw there, bro. The Un-Americans, Jericho, bunch of people. What was I going to say? Okay, so the show starts. There's a pyro, very nice. Stephanie comes out. Doesn't have a lot to say. She's, she's the GM in control proceedings.
Yeah.
One little tidbit: I saw NBL legend Andrew Gaze in the crowd as Rikishi made his entrance. I know that grey hair anywhere, mate. Andrew
Very
Gaze
nice.
went grey in his 30s.
There you go, mate.
Okay, bro. First match on this show, the Kiss My Ass match. Rikishi taking on Rico. What did you think, bro?
So Rikishi is the perfect type of wrestling character for an Australian audience. Even the most uptight, sort of tight-ass person in the world, if you're an Australian, they like to think of it. We like to all think of ourselves as being very mellow and chill and, ready to party. Even if that's not what we're like, we all like to collectively think that that's what we're about.
Yeah.
As sort of a culture. And Rikishi is exactly the kind of performer, I think, to bring out their first, get all the kids in the audience excited. Once all the kids start getting excited, all the adults in the audience who there may not be as many older wrestling fans at that time. I imagine there would have been a lot of parents with children attending the show. So I think it's a great idea to sort of use a family oriented performer like Rikishi in that way. The next thing that I thought that was a masterstroke was Rico, the stylist, coming to the stage in his fucking relentlessly obnoxious suit and doing that little twirl. And unfortunately, it being 2002, there would have been a lot of, shall we say, homophobic older men probably watching that show. And I could only imagine what they might have been saying over a sip of beer as they saw Rico step out to the stage. Again, perfect heel to start off this opening contest. You've got a clearly defined, really likable babyface. You've got an obnoxious dipshit heel that everyone just wants to see get their ass whooped. It happens. The match is pretty much what I assume kind of a house show match would be like. It was kind of more of I'd say a spectacle than sort of a fully fledged match. Rikishi ends up vanquishing Rico. I'd probably give the actual in-ring performance probably a C minus. But then obviously, the fans are happy after that. A couple of kids get brought into the ring and dance with Rikishi.
Yeah.
And the crowd gets into it. It's a good way to sort of kick the festivities off. Not really much of a match. However, I do think it was an outstanding, like it did its job perfectly. It was just perfectly executed for where it was on the card.
Yeah, it's the fun opener. Rikishi makes his entrance, and then you hear "You Look So," and I'm just like, man, the theme songs was so good. Here comes Rico making his entrance. He's got the sideburns, and I'm like, look at this character. This is a character right here. This is a character, and he's clearly defined. And if you looked at a silhouette of him, you knew it was Rico, And I'm just like, man, what happened to all these characters that they had? It's just a nostalgia trip watching a show like this. You see referee Jimmy Corderas with the balding head. I prefer my referees bald or chubby, not like these guys with a fucking tan and a fade and muscles on their arms.
If I'm going to order a referee off Temu, I'm going to get like a variety pack of referees off Temu so I can have a different one each match. Like sometimes I want a bold ref, Sometimes I want a short ref. Sometimes I want a ref with really hairy arms. You know what I mean? Continue.
What a moonsault. What a moonsault on Rico, dude. Shit. I'm like, fuck, I forgot he did that.
Incredible. Incredible.
And then Rikishi, it's the Samoan drop for the victory. Very easy day at the office for him. The thing that I'm finding funniest about this is Rico knows the stipulation of the match. He's lost the match, fair and square. He's lost the match. He's arguing with the referee. Rikishi notices this. Rikishi goes to walk over to him. What does Rico try to do? Tries to spin kick him in the head. Doesn't happen. He misses the spin kick. Next thing Rico knows, he's just got like a leather boot to the mouth. Landed perfectly in the corner. And what do you know? He's got the big Samoan's ass stuffed in his face. There's no way this is not entertaining. You know, and I bet someone like Dave Meltzer would just be like, yeah, no, I have to give that a dud. Like, no, bro. Like that to me, that's like 4 stars for me. The match went 2 minutes and 32 seconds. Poor Rico.
It's like an Adam Blast dream.
It's like everyone who watched this match knew Rico was getting a Samoan's ass stuffed in his face afterward. Like, yep, Rico's got a cop it here.
Even if you've never seen wrestling before, like if you watch it, you know from the beginning like what's gonna happen.
Oh dear. But anyway,
right.
So next on the show, bro. I hope you watched these things. There was the next segment was Nidia and Jamie Noble. They went surfing. They were taught how to
the parasurfing.
Yeah, they're taught how to surf by a bloke called Jordan.
I'm Jordan.
Yeah, Jordan was. Jordan doesn't know much about wrestling. I bet you anything. No. He didn't seem overly excited about seeing them, but you know, I found it sweet that they were showing, you know, the Australian way of life and having a couple wrestlers learn how to surf. I thought that was kind of cute. But then the next match, bro, is Jamie Noble and the Hurricane Cruiserweight title. Talk about a different time, mate. Talk about a different time. What did you think, bro?
All right. Well, this was match of the show for me.
Ooh.
I'm giving it a B+ in ring. I have never seen Jamie Noble have a bad match.
No.
Ever.
Never.
Not once. No.
Never.
Now, Jamie Noble on pay-per-view in the WWE was a match that you could always depend on to fucking kick up to that next gear, and it was going to feel physical and it was going to feel fast-paced. And Jamie Noble and Nidia as a combination, they played that part so well. Obviously, if you watch the parasailing thing just before that, you see that they're really a nice couple and they're enjoying traveling. But then when we get to their match on the show, they're in full redneck mode.
Why do you keep saying parasailing?
I don't know. And
they're on a surfboard.
There was one of the fucking things on it.
Like parasailing, isn't that the thing? Parasailing's when like there's a boat and you've got you got a parachute.
Yeah.
I was like, it doesn't sound right.
Okay, no, fine, whatever. So okay. So they're in full character mode. The match is fucking full throttle. I can only imagine all the blokes in the crowd that are getting to probably their second, third beer by that point. Yeah. Maybe even their fourth, because I imagine a lot of people probably start drinking before the show. So I can imagine all the people going, "Oh, show us your tits, love," and all this shit. Yeah. What Nidia must have been listening to. Nice fucking shorts, love. Shit like that.
Yeah.
Honestly, I thought it was a fucking, to use a favorite word of mine, a tremendous match, and it's going to get a Juicy Boy recommendation. Go out of your way to check it out. Obviously, it goes without saying. I'll sum it up here. Hurricane, amazing as always as well. well done to both performers here and Nidia, of course.
Yeah, I see them doing this segment beforehand, and I, when you haven't watched a certain year of wrestling in some time, you think, oh man, I remember Nidia. I remember that. That was a great duo. I thought they were a great duo. I can't remember why they split them up or what happened to Nidia after that, but I thought that they did great together. And
Nidia got blinded by the Tajiri mist, and
right.
then Jamie Noble started taking advantage of her. And then in the first ever draft lottery, Nidia got drafted to Raw, and then you never saw her again.
Oh,
So.
I hated when that happened. I remember A-Train had a sick run on SmackDown. Sorry for the sidebar. He had a sick run on SmackDown, and then he got traded to Raw, and he never showed up again. And
I know.
What did he do wrong?
If you turn on SmackDown versus Raw on the PS2, A-Train is on the Raw roster, having just been drafted as that game was being made. Where was he? Show me A-Train. All right, let's continue on. Your thoughts on the match?
We're getting upset over A-Train getting released like over 20 years ago. Look, I knew this was going to be something good. Two guys from WCW, Cruiserweights, they've been there, done that. Loved the swinging neck breaker off the top rope by Hurricane. What the fuck, bro?
Such impact.
Nidia was great, bro. She did good. She just goes up to Hurricane and starts like forcing a kiss on him to distract him during the match. Like, how desperate do you have to be to distract someone to like lay a fucking sloppy kiss on him?
Yeah.
But yeah, I really like seeing a heel go over here as Jamie Noble retains. So good stuff. And you know what? Proof in the pudding here, mate. These guys were good. That's why they're still working behind the scenes of that company today. So Jamie Noble wins in 8 minutes, 45 seconds. Okay, let's move to the next segment here, bro. They got a package from 2 days prior.
Yeah.
Lance Storm, Kurt Angle, and Christian. They firstly learn how to throw some boomerangs. And I think one of the guys said, yeah, I've seen you buggers before. And Kurt took offense to being called a bugger. A bugger? What's a bugger? Then they go to the zoo. Kurt was excited about the giraffes and the koalas.
Kurt's so cute, man.
He dominated the segment. You barely heard Christian and Lance do anything or say anything. He was stuck with the Canadians. Canadians. And then he gets annoyed at Christian because Christian went to feed a kangaroo and it ran off. It's like, Jay, you're scaring off the animals. But yeah. How cute was Kurt? Like, I've never seen a giraffe before. Oh my gosh. Like,
yeah.
What did you think of that, bro?
Yeah, I thought it was fun. I've actually seen, and I'll mention this next part when we get to the next sort of non-wrestling segment on the show because it's more relevant to that segment. But yeah, I thought this was fun. I always love it when wrestlers go to the zoo. It reminds me of when I met Kevin Steen, now Kevin Owens, when he performed at a local show, and I asked him how he was doing and shook his hand, and he goes, "Yeah, I spent the day at Perth Zoo." And then I bought a T-shirt. I bought a T-shirt from him, and then I looked at the T-shirt, and it just said Kevin Steen, zoo enthusiast.
Really?
Yeah, and then it just had a picture of like a caged bear and him next to it going something like that.
Really? Wicked. Yeah, cool stuff, bro. Okay, well, let's get to the next match. I see a theme here. They'll cut to something and someone who's in the next match was in the scene. But Christian and Lance Storm, the Un-Americans, what a team. Take on Billy Kidman and Rey Mysterio. Thoughts, Juicy Boy?
Honestly, this was probably a runner-up for match of the show. I knew that this was going to be probably a pretty good match. I think that Christian and Lance Storm don't quite have the same kind of flow with Rey Mysterio and the other members of the SmackDown. I don't quite think that flow that we would later see from the SmackDown 6 was quite there with Storm and Christian. However, I do think that this was a very good match, and I'd give it a C plus. I like, you know what, as well, I just want to add, I like that Lance Storm was actually in a match like this. I like that he was in one of these main matches.
I like that
You
he
know?
was a tag team champion. He was
Yes.
always actively involved in the tag team titles. He did a great job.
Yeah.
You know what else I want to give props to? The theme song for the Un-Americans.
Yeah.
Fucking hell. Yeah, it's just so triumphant, and it makes me think of, like, you know, it's you're watching the Mighty Ducks, and it's the day of the game where they're gonna go for the championship or whatever, and it's the morning, and there's the dew on the grass, and the atmosphere's in the air.
Like they in their deluded worlds, everything that they do is epic. Like every appearance that they make, like they're gracing everyone with their presence. What did you think of the match, bro?
Yeah, it was good. Another thing I wanted to say, their theme song really suited them. Ray's, obviously. Kidman's theme song did not suit him at all.
Nah.
He should have kept his WCW theme. Anyway, Cole and Taz are making me laugh. They're clearly trying to pop one another. It's clear to me that they were in a studio recording this after the fact for the DVD release. They're pretending that they're in the arena. Cole's pretending that he's gone to this place and that place. They're not even there. They're in a studio. I can hear his voice echo off the wall in there at times. So it's obvious to me. But anyway, really good match. And Kidman and Ray were a really underrated tag team, I think. But yeah. Un-Americans. Another heel goes over in 9 minutes, 10 seconds. Let's move forward. They show Torrie, Wilson, Billy, and Edge going shopping. Billy botched using the didgeridoo. That's
this is what I wanted to bring up. Okay.
Yep.
One time I had a family friend bring from Bali a massive box of bootleg wrestling DVDs.
Wicked.
A huge, massive set. And one of these DVDs was the Ultimate WrestleMania DVD box set. That's what it was labeled on the outside. But when I opened it up, it was just a bunch of random different discs, and each disc had like 3 different pay-per-views on it, or some random. It was like a whole DVD, and all the special features just ripped onto different discs. And it would just play one after the other. And one such event was Global Warning, but they had like an extended full cut of this segment where you see Edge, Kidman, Torrie Wilson walking around town.
Really?
And it actually follows them quite extensively with no commentary or anything like that. And it's just the camera following around. And it's just them looking through at things, and, you know, they're just traveling. And yeah, it was quite fascinating, and definitely had a different tone to it than the little snippet that you see shown on the show, because it was much more candid. This footage that was obviously left on the cutting room floor. They're not playing it up to the camera or anything. It's almost as if it's just another friend holding a camera while they're going around, and very, very interesting.
Cool. See, that's one thing we're going to miss when it comes to DVDs being gone now, is that, like, there's always the DVD extras, and there's always these little Easter eggs that you wouldn't find anywhere else, and, you know, they don't upload to the internet. But anyway, I thought it was a fun little segment. Good to see them walking around the markets. And I thought Torrie was very cute with her not eating cake very much, because she's obviously watching her weight.
I felt bad for her. I think she should have just fucking had a piece of cake. Let the woman have a fucking piece of cake.
Have a piece of cake. No, I think
she still would have looked hot as fuck, man.
But you know what? She's probably like really strict with her diet. But Kidman just stuffing his face with. Kidman made me laugh a lot here. He was pretty funny. Okay, let's move forward, bro. This is something that I wanted to tell you. I alluded to this earlier about how this show was 2 hours, 7 minutes long. I read online that they omitted 3 matches from the DVD, including Kurt Angle versus Test, which is why Kurt wasn't on the show. Hug Holly and Chavo Guerrero versus Billy and Chuck. And this I really wanted to see. Was very disappointed that I didn't get to see it. Mark Henry and a young Randy Orton taking on Reverend Devon and a young Batista.
Why? What? Why cut them off?
Why? I don't get it.
And no one. You're not going to be telling me, bro, that Test had a bad match against Kurt Angle.
I read online some guy who went to the show said, oh, it was such a shame that Kurt Angle versus Test wasn't on this because it was probably the best match of the show. I was there. And I'm like, oh, fuck. Whose decision was that?
I want to see if I can find a fan cam of this match.
I hope so, because all I've done, I found a couple of stills, which is on my review on realprowrestling.com. But yeah, isn't that funny? Kurt Angle's there and all you saw of him was at the zoo.
It's very strange.
Anyway, next matchup, bro. Chris Jericho versus Edge. A very different Chris Jericho versus a very different Adam Copeland here. Almost unrecognizable Edge is here. He looks so young with the long flowing hair. Jericho has a flat stomach.
Back before he looked like a total fucking idiot.
Fuck. They both had such golden locks. What happened to their hair? What did you think of this match here, bro?
I'd give the match itself probably a C+. You know what? Maybe I expected too much of it. I enjoyed the match, but I don't really think that it went to the fullest extent that it could have.
Right.
I really enjoyed Jericho's work on the mic. I really enjoyed the fact that he wasn't afraid to be made the butt of the joke.
Yeah.
I was also thinking, yes, I'm about to say this. It's such a shame what he's become today, because what a great performer, and like the natural instincts and the charisma and the cool factor. But the thing that made him cool was that he wasn't afraid to be goofy, you know, in order to be entertaining, and he wasn't afraid to show different. Now it's all about desperately trying to hang on to the cool factor that's not there. Whereas if you look over at a similarly aged talent like Adam Copeland's an older dude, but he still has the cool factor because he's aged gracefully. You know, he's like just an older version of Edge. Edge is always going to be cool because it's Edge.
Definitely.
Like same with The Rock is the same, you know. So it's I have to point that out. But the match itself was good. I enjoyed it. I think this is exactly the kind of high intensity match that you want to put on a show like this, especially since they hadn't been to Australia in so long. I'm glad that they put together some real sink your teeth into matches. So yeah, I enjoyed it quite a bit. It was so obvious that Edge was just a megastar waiting to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, because we're talking about Australia, and they haven't been there since 1986, and the pop that Edge got was tremendous, man.
Yeah.
As soon as that you think you know me, everyone just went, you know.
It's interesting. It's almost like we've opened up a time capsule, and we just had a look at this one moment in time, and we're like, oh, that was like just before. That was when he was on the cusp of like breaking through and getting to the upper echelon. Now he's beating like former world champions in matches and all that. So interesting stuff. Didn't have really much to follow up on with what you said. The only thing is, Brian Hebner was the real Slim Shady. Did you see his hair?
Sick cunt, man. That's my boy, Brian. You lived that life, brother.
Yeah,
you lived that early
2000s,
doing the Slim Shady thing.
Yeah.
You know.
You know who else? You know who else is our boy, bro? Mark Henry is our boy. They show highlights of the Fan Fest, and there's Mark Henry sitting in a seat playing against fans, playing video games. I didn't write many notes on this segment. I like watching. It's very wholesome. The fans are enjoying themselves, and I remember my favorite bit was Edge had a young man walk up to get a photo with him, and the kid was, I don't know, he seemed pretty confident into just asking him a question. He's like, "Are you enjoying Australia?" It's just so
Yeah.
Aussie, this little kid, and I was like,
What was he like?
Listen-
Oh yeah, yeah.
"Oh yeah, absolutely." Like, I just think that's so nice that the kid wasn't blubbering and being like, a mark. He just asked him, "Are you enjoying Australia?" Like, does the
That's
kid
'cause-
really care? No, he's being polite.
Yeah, that's Australians for you. That's
Yeah.
what, you know.
Anything to add on the FanFest footage, bro?
No.
Well, speaking of it being a different time, here we go, bro. Brown panties match. Fuck's
Man.
sake.
I tell you what, bro, I used to masturbate to this all the time.
I wrote that down. I was like, you have to understand, for us at that age, and I know people are like, oh, it's misogyny. No, just listen. We were teenagers. We had dial-up internet.
Yeah.
You couldn't just go watch porn
Yeah.
or download
Yeah.
pictures and get it in a fast amount of time. Plus, you're a teenager. The computer's probably, in the lounge room or the living room. So your parents are around.
Yeah, my computer was always in like a public room.
Yeah, like this
You
is
know.
all we had. This is all we had was these matches. And
I mean,
things
I
of
was
this
only
nature.
9 the year that this came out, but later on, though, when I was 12 and 13. Anyway, I'll just give my thoughts. I'm giving this an A+. It was hot.
An A+.
And it's getting a DJ recommendation. Go out of your way to check it out because it was fucking hot.
So stupid. So stupid. By the way, what's the difference between a DJ recommendation and a Juicy Boy recommendation? That's strange.
One of them's a little blue.
That's stupid. By the way, I forgot to mention this is between Stacy Keibler and Torrie Wilson. This is so we don't look. This is long gone. We're not going to see it again. But wouldn't it be interesting if, like, someone was forcing, like, athlete women? You have to know you're having a bra and panties match, otherwise you breach a contract. But then something happens, a schmoz. I don't know, but like, at least the threat of it being out there.
They actually did some stuff like that, bro. I don't know how regularly you watched like the weekly TV in 04 and 05, but they did a couple of segments where, like, one time they had all the divas on Raw were going to do this bikini swimsuit contest, and all of them looked fantastic, including Victoria. But Victoria obviously was, a serious competitor. She kept on saying, I don't want to do this. This is bullshit. I want the women's championship. Where the fuck's Trish Stratus? She was basically told, Trish isn't here. Go and do the bra and panties match in a segment or whatever. Come to do the fucking match, the bra and panties thing. It's titillating. It's exciting for, the teenagers watching. But they used it to do an angle. So Maria wins the swimsuit contest, I think. Victoria decides she just beats the shit out of every other woman there, man. Just 1 minute Maria is celebrating, boom, super kick to the chin, barefoot to the face, widow's peak. Like,
see, I reckon there's still a place for something like this, but it's gonna have like a purpose for it, not just for just getting ladies out there to take their kid off. But I found it really funny that Val Venus was the special ring announcer, the big Valboski, as he was.
Like, what better job in the world is there?
He got flown to Australia. Just he didn't even wrestle. Like, he just got, and there he is. He's standing there, right? Stacy's made his entrance, and he's got the microphone. He's just going, like, looking like, well, he's an animal. He's a porn star. He's got serious problems with sex. He's
got a global warning tracksuit on. Like, why was their tracksuits made? Like, why is he?
How did he get the full tracksuit?
Why is he the only one that I see wearing one of the tracksuits? Like, there are so many questions. All right.
Sorry, I will get to the end of this. okay, Michael Cole and Taz. Cole says, "How did that goof Mike Sparks get to referee this match?" And Taz said he hopes he's wearing a cup. So funny, man. Like when you watch this, it's like, wow, I haven't seen this in so long. You know, Stacy takes Torrie's top off, the crowd pop. Then Stacy's top was ripped off. Torrie hit a baseball slide. And then Cole was talking about it being a nice technical match. They're just taking the piss. Then they both went to take each other's pants off. And then, see, what a ridiculous sentence to be writing. Then Mike Sparks gets the funny spot where he's trying to break them up, and then he ends up rolling around with it. It's never not funny to me. I'm sorry. The referee stands up, he's smiling like he's had the best day ever. But Torrie pulled his pants down and he had pink underwear on. That's just so stupid, but I love it. Anyway, Nidia randomly ran in. She got her pants pulled off. Then Torrie slingshotted Stacy in the corner, then pulled her pants off and won the match. Oh, and Stacy got smacked in the bottom afterward. I bet they all had a big laugh after this, but yeah. So Torrie wins via taking Stacy's shorts off in 4 minutes 45. After this, bit of a boring segment. Obviously meaningful. The WWE superstars are doing something for kids, for charity, for an auction or whatever. But maybe we should just get to our main event of the evening, Juicy Boy.
Yeah.
All right. WWE Undisputed World Heavyweight Title, no DQ, triple threat match. The Rock, Triple H, Brock Lesnar, when he was the next big thing with Paul Heyman at ringside. Bro, what did you think?
Righto. So this show took place about 2 weeks or not long before SummerSlam, which is obviously where Brock Lesnar would defeat The Rock for same WWE Championship.
Yeah.
And this was a weird match. It's weird to have two SmackDown guys and Triple H having a triple threat over the WWE title, especially given how associated Triple H is with the big gold belt going forward from this point in time in his career. So I found that strange. I also, it's interesting seeing Brock Lesnar work with Triple H at this early stage of his career.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you though, I can only really give this match a C- because I didn't really feel like this thing clicked for me. I'm not saying that in the way, like the crowd were into it, and it was a spectacle, but I think that Triple H didn't really seem to quite know how best to work with Brock Lesnar. I think that there was a lot of The Rock just blocking a punch and doing another one, and then I understand that they wanted to get the heat on him, and you know he gets cut off trying to make a comeback and all that. But I felt like I don't know. I just felt like maybe Brock hadn't had enough seasoning yet for this match. I'm not sure how long they had to run through what they were going to do in this match. Maybe because of the people involved, I was again having higher expectations than I should have. Not to say that it was bad, but I sort of it didn't really set the world on fire either, as far as I was concerned.
I see, said the blind man. Well, I remember this for years as being the one time Brock and Triple H ever like worked together in a match that was, and I always thought, it's a shame that they're never going to, and then they ended up having matches later on down the line. But Rock is at the tail end of his full-time career here. It was actually his 20th last match to date, but 5 matches away from the loss to Brock at SummerSlam, which ended his full-time run. So again, this is a moment in time, like The Rock is about to no longer be a full-time wrestler ever again. And none of us really knew that was going to happen at that time.
God, that must have been so fucking annoying as a fan. Like, did you go through a period where you were like, where the fuck's The Rock? Like, where?
Yeah.
I remember when I started watching and he'd occasionally show up. He'd show up every once in a while. in all four and shit. And I'd be like, why the fuck isn't he coming back next week? He's like the best person on the show. Like,
I don't know if I was reading wrestling news websites by that point. I probably was. So, but I used to get confused all the time in the late 90s. Like, why is that guy Scorpio who was in the Job Squad? Why haven't I seen him? Where did he go? Why don't I have an explanation for that? But it'd be disheartening in this era when, Stone Cold's not there, The Rock's gone. Where are they? Where's my favorite guys? That could be something that could affect someone's fandom. Because I've always had people say over the years, it's just not the same without Stone Cold and shit. But there are other people. But anyway, from what my memory of watching this years ago, I was like, oh yeah, that was a hell boring match. So when I went into it, I actually enjoyed this more because I was expecting it to be really bad. But I think maybe Lesnar at that stage had never been in a triple threat. I don't know. I'd have to research that, but maybe that was why it was so awkward. But yeah, I thought it was a nice little way to send the fans home happy. The Rock gets the win. 14 minutes, 35 seconds. And nothing else to really add there other than Lesnar did kick out of a pedigree.
Yep, that was notable. He also kicked out of a people's elbow.
Yeah. So they were really trying to.
And Triple H took the pin.
Yeah.
So that was good. That was probably the last pin he'd take for about 3 years. Jesus Christ. Fucking hell. In that Evolution Reign of Terror period that was about to start up soon after this.
Yeah, it was. That's right, because that's when they brought out the new big gold belt, and we no longer had the Undisputed title. We had 2 world titles. Yeah. So do you have any final thoughts on WWE Global Warning 2002?
Well, my final thoughts was that I'd probably give the show probably a 7 out of 10 in terms of an overall bringing an entertaining show to an audience that was at the time very deprived of live wrestling. I think it was, as you said, a fascinating time capsule of being able to look back 20 some odd years in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very interesting to see sort of where things were going, where things would end up with the benefit of hindsight. I think that's one of the reasons why these retro reviews and reacts and stuff are so popular and fun to do.
Yeah, I wrote this for my final thoughts for my article on realprowrestling.com, but you don't need to even read it now because you just watched the video review. But this is a fun show. It made me miss what wrestling used to be like. Pro wrestling has had its ups and downs over the years, and The Rock and Stone Cold's exit from the industry certainly exemplified that for me. We hear casual and old wrestling fans say things like it's not the same. It was a different time, but I really miss it so much. Every match served its purpose to entertain. Sure, we cared about people completing their story, but there weren't all these expectations on when, where, why, and people wanting what they want and wanting it now. And if they don't get it, they don't go online and harass people over it. They don't send death threats to somebody's daughter. Because
honestly, I'll say this: we could be on the verge of another renaissance for professional wrestling. I personally am loving it. I like the idea of telling stories and actually being entertaining and letting the talent actually be themselves and making it just interesting. It's compelling.
Yeah,
I was thinking Global Warning was a compelling show, and what we've been seeing recently from WWE has been compelling.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean that there's been nothing good in the intervening periods, but I definitely think that because Triple H experienced the prime of his career during one of the golden periods for pro wrestling, I think that has really informed the way that he thinks about the business. And I think it says a lot that, with the exception of Brock Lesnar, because of what's come out recently, says a lot that the 3 men in that main event are still huge players in professional wrestling today,
Yeah.
including Paul Heyman. Um,
Definitely.
So,
I think
yeah.
at this stage, Roman Reigns is still a teenager, but um, the last bit I was going to say, you know, as it pertains to like how fans act these days, and it's all because of social media. I'm sure there were people piled into chat rooms who were really horrible back in the day, but at least they didn't have any access to like harass
Yeah.
people through that avenue.
Moderator would just remove the
Yeah.
comment, you know.
Now there's no moderation, unless you know they say something racist or like use the C word or whatever. But back then, yes, there might have been some people that were like that, but they were so held back from getting their thoughts out there for the whole world to see that, you know, there was none of this arguing going on such a public forum. But we were just fans that were just along for the ride. Yes, there were things that we wanted. Yes, there were things that we hoped for, but we were
Yeah.
still along for the ride, and we didn't try and go scorched earth because we didn't get what we wanted. Wrestling and the world has changed so much, and it's a shame, but at least we have shows like this that we can look back on and feel fond about, because as we watch it, we can take ourselves back and pretend we were there all over again. And we don't have to worry about the toxic bullshit that goes on with today's internet wrestling fan. So that's just the last thing I wanted to say.
I mean, yeah, if you're someone out there that sent The Rock's 19-year-old daughter death threats because you didn't like something that was happening on a fictional television show, go fuck yourself. Seriously, it's disgusting. I think anyone out there that has a sister or a daughter you should be ashamed of yourselves if you're one of the people out there that would say something like that. And yeah, as you said, it was nice to revisit this show and go back to a time when we didn't have to hear about horrible shit like that because it wasn't happening. Because people acknowledged that wrestling was meant to be fun, and people understood that it was a TV. It was like okay, when I was a kid, if people asked me, "What sort of thing are you interested in, Daniel?" I would have said, I like Batman, wrestling, and The Simpsons. That's what I would have said. Because those were the things that I liked. I didn't give a shit about, all this other fucking external nonsense, connected to it. I just wanted to enjoy it.
Yeah, and I wish people would do that a little bit more. I should just shut up and just go along for the ride.
Yeah, fucking deal with it.
So there we have it, Juicy Boy. Thank you for your time. Thank you for watching Global Warning for me and doing this retro review. This is the first one we've ever done, so that's pretty sick, bro.
Yeah, man, it's pretty dumb. Yeah, no, we'll have to let us know if there's a retro show that you think we should check out. Comments, questions, queries, suggestions. We want them. Give it to us. Give it to me.
Yeah, I've enjoyed this, and I think we're definitely going to start doing retro reviews a little bit more often, even if it's only like once a month or something like that. But thank you again, Juicy Boy.
Yeah, no worries, mate.
Thank all of you out there for joining us here for the review of Global Warning 2002. I'm California. This is Juicy Boy, and we will see you down the road. Thank you.
Network, that's the way we play. Good God Almighty. Network, that's the way we play. Get puppies. Network, that's the way we play. Get.
The following announcement has been paid for by the WZWA network.